About 83% of Americans have their earlobes pierced. Most of them are women, around 72%. After earlobe piercings, navel piercings are the most popular form of piercing among women, while nipple piercings are the most popular piercing among men. The process is fairly painful depending on the area, actually, and a whopping 1/3 of piercings lead to some kind of inflammatory or infection complication. Of those, around 0.9% require hospitalization. So given all the pain and risks, why get a piercing at all? Welcome back to Quick Culture, everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about body piercings. How old are they, really? Where might they come from? And how do piercings differ across time, regions, and ethnic groups? Piercings have been around for longer than recorded history, and they were closely bound up in superstition. Some primitive tribes, for instance, believed that demons entered the body through one's ears. To pierce one's earlobes in that case was a form of protection. It warded off malevolent spirits and protected men and women from the threat of demonic possession. The European Iceman mummy, who we talked about in our last video, had his earlobes pierced and gauged to about 11 millimeters. Gauging, which gained popularity among punk subcultures in the United States only recently, is an ancient procedure. It involves stretching the skin or cartilage to create a larger, more visible hole that is then adorned with a plug, bar, or a so-called tunnel. Ear stretching is common among many cultures across the world. The Maasai of Kenya use tusks and thorns to elongate their earlobes, while Huaorani tribes of the Amazon space their ear piercings with tree trunk spines. Of course, while earlobes are the easiest part of the body to stretch in this way, they're soft, supple, and elastic. Noses, lips, and even tongues can also be gauged. 2,000 years ago, King Tut, along with many of his Egyptian counterparts, also sported earrings. Egyptians wore jewelry as a kind of status symbol, and the bodies of many famous political and religious leaders, Nefertiti, Ramses II, Seti II, and the priestess Amunet among them, had some kind of body modification. Ancient Romans like Julius Caesar, who made earrings fashionable during his reign in 49 to 44 BC, also had ear piercings. They were one way to decorate the body with gold and gems in Rome, a display of one's enormous wealth, as was the case in Egypt. In the modern period, earrings continue to be a status symbol for the very rich and powerful, and yet lowly sailors soon began piercing their ears for practical reasons. Should they die at sea, the jewelry could be sold to cover funeral expenses. As standards of living rose and jewelry across the world became more affordable, Western subcultures from punks to hippies took up body modification. Nose piercings enjoyed a surge in America as counterculture hippies popularized the body modification ritual in the 70s. Yet, nose piercings, one of the most popular piercings on the planet, come from the Middle East, Africa, and parts of South Asia, where they have a long, rich history. Men would gift their prospective wives with nose rings, and the larger the ring, the richer the family. Should the couple divorce, of course, the woman could sell her golden ring in order to provide for herself and her kin. Long associated with India, nose piercings arrived relatively late there, around the 16th century. The piercing, worn by Hindi women on the left nostril, is supposed to mark devotion to Parvati, the goddess of marriage, and is also said to alleviate pain during childbirth. The septum piercing, though not as popular as the nostril ring or stud, has enjoyed growing popularity in the Western world. Like the nostril piercing, it traces back to South Asia and parts of indigenous South America. Certainly, some believed it had medicinal or therapeutic properties, to prevent infection, for example. But most saw it as decoration, an ornament, a display of one's status or wealth or power in a given community. Warrior societies like the Asmat tribe of Iranjaya, in fact, stretched their septum piercings and fit them with animal bone, while the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas adorned the inside of their noses with gold and other precious metals. Oral piercings like the lip and tongue piercing are somewhat less common. The Aztecs and Incas pierced their tongues as a form of blood sacrifice between the 14th and 16th centuries, and African tribes like the Dogon pierce and stretch their lips with large, flat plates. The purpose and function of lip plates vary. For some tribes, they are said to make women more beautiful. For others, plates are a religious ritual meant to celebrate goddesses and the birth of the world. Interestingly, some of the most popular piercings among women today were popularized by men. The navel piercing, the most famous piercing site among women after the earlobe, appears to have originated in Egypt. Back then, it was a highly exclusive, highly restrictive piercing reserved only for high-status males. In fact, only the pharaoh was allowed to have his belly button pierced. Others found with it would be executed. At its outset, the nipple piercing enjoyed popularity among elite ancient Roman men. This symbolized virility and fraternity among males, but gained popularity among aristocratic women in the 1890s, who believed that so-called bosom rings made their breasts more attractive and easier to stimulate. Certain Victorian doctors also maintained that nipple piercings had therapeutic benefits. They cured everything from headaches to breastfeeding pains. Claims that some piercings, like the tragus ear piercing, have healing properties have reappeared in recent years. But more importantly, piercings are today seen as important expressions of individual identity in the West. They're a way to express yourself, to style and change your body for the better, to simply be you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We put out videos every week about global traditions and their origins. See you next time on Quick Culture.